Hi, everybody. It's exciting to be with you guys on this podcast. It's always our desire that you become a whole person, which includes us to be healthy in our physical bodies, in our soul, which is our mind, our will, our emotions, and also our spirit. We must be healthy. So we come to you through these podcasts to really deal with our soul and have a healthy mind, healthy emotions. And what does that look like? So we've been talking about grief, the different stages of grief, if you've been in our last podcast. And we've been talking about anger, which is one of the stages of grief. And today I'd like to pause and talk about depression. Oftentimes we don't know that we have depression. We don't really think, when you think about depression, you think about maybe somebody who is having suicidal thoughts and, they close the blinds and curtains and they don't want to come out of their room. But oftentimes depression creeps in on us, perhaps because there's still grief that is happening in your life because of a loss. You lost something in the past and there's still grief and you really have not moved forward. Or perhaps depression has hit you because the mind is not healthy. So what is depression? We can define it as misery, as deep sadness, unhappiness, sorrow, or a woe. We can look at it. Similar words to depression is recession. It's like you declining, you're moving backwards. That's usually a sign that there is depression in your life. There are signs to know if we are in depression. There's different psychological symptoms that depression includes. And oftentimes we think we don't have it, and sometimes it creeps in on us. Now, what are some of the signs or symptoms that depression is residing or living within us? Number one, there's continuous low mood or sadness. There's this just continual cycle of sadness in your life where you wake up and you feel sad, you feel gloomy, you feel like there's a woe to you, there's a misery to you. There's just a low mood. You have no drive. That's a sign that depression wants to creep in. Perhaps you feel sad on a day and you wake up and maybe there's no particular reason as to why you feel sad. You just feel like this low mood. The second symptom of depression is feeling hopeless and feeling helpless. You feel hopeless, like there's no hope. You almost feel like there's nothing exciting in your future, like life has brought you what it has brought you, and this is as far as you're going to go. Perhaps you feel helpless, like you can't change your life, like there's no moving forward. There's absolutely nothing that you can do because everything you have tried has not worked or not functioned. There's a pandemic of depression right now, and it is really necessary for us to understand how to come out of this depressed mood and this soul in us that maybe is unhealthy because depression has crept in because of maybe loss in the past or you're grieving something. What's another symptom of depression? Number 3, you have a low self-esteem. Low self-esteem can also be a sign that there is depression. You feel low about yourself. You look in the mirror and you don't feel quite confident. You don't feel courageous. You feel low about yourself. There's low self-esteem. Think about that for a moment. You don't believe that you can. You perhaps just feel so defeated and distraught. And you look in the mirror and you compare yourself and you think that maybe this is all there is to your life. You feel insecure, insignificant, unworthy. You have this low sense of self-esteem about yourself. You use words to describe yourself, such as I'm no good. I can't. I can never do it. I'm such a failure. I'm so stupid. I can never achieve, if only. And you begin to compare yourself, perhaps indirectly and sometimes subconsciously. And another symptom of depression would be you feel just tearful and the tears just well up. You feel like you just want to cry oftentimes and you feel tearful. Tears just well up within you. Somebody's talking and you just want to cry. You are driving and you just get tearful. And that could be a sign also that depression wants to creep in. Another symptom of depression would be guilt. Have you felt guilty about something? Are you guilty? Remember last podcast, I believe it was 2 podcasts ago, we talked about anger. And I said to you that sometimes guilt is really anger towards self. And sometimes depression comes forth and it comes out in guilt. And you feel guilty about something. You didn't do something. Maybe you dropped the ball. Maybe you should have done something, or you look back in your life and you are regretful and you feel guilty about maybe if you're a mom, how you raised your children, or if you're a dad, you feel guilty about how you handled a situation, or you feel guilty about mistakes in the past. And you really feel this sense of guilt and you're hard on yourself, very hard on yourself. You don't give yourself room to improve. You're not kind to yourself. You feel very guilty, and guilty can rot you. It rots the soul. It is so toxic. We need to be people that heal the soul correctly, because guilt can actually lead us to depression. Another symptom is you feel very irritable, you just wake up and you're irritable, intolerant of others. You want to bite everybody's head off. You answer rudely for no particular reason. Just everybody irritates you. Can't be around anybody. People stay away from you in the morning or in the afternoon, for that matter, because you're irritable. When you find yourself irritable for no particular reason, you want to ask the question, hey, am I depressed? And just kind of pause for a moment and ask yourself that question. Am I sad about something? Am I depressed still? Have I healed? Because I'm irritable. I lash out at everybody. Everybody seems to be the bad person, including the dog, including the cat. You just want to bark at everybody, with no disrespect to anybody, but sometimes we are just mean and we wake up moody and we're just about life. Stop and ask yourself, why? Why am I like this? What's going on inside of me? Ask those questions so that you can get to the root of it. Another symptom of depression is you have no motivation. You're not motivated. You have no luster of life. There's no interest in things anymore. You just kind of want to sit there and not really do anything. You're not motivated to go outside and maybe exercise. You're not motivated like you used to be when it comes to your career. You're not motivated like you used to be when it comes to maybe a spiritual endeavor, or maybe you're not motivated anymore to seek, this place of getting to know God, or maybe you're not motivated anymore to go back to school or to learn something. You have no drive. You just kind of feel blah and just very lack of motivation, no momentum. You just don't want to exercise. You don't want to do anything. You just want to sit there. You want to sulk. You want to just cry. That's a sign that depression perhaps is there. And lastly, the last sign of depression is you find it difficult to make decisions. You have a hard time making decisions. You have to ask other people because you don't trust your own instincts. You have to ask the opinion of others because you don't trust even your own opinion. I can tell you on a personal matter, I know what that feels like. You have to get the approval of 3, 4 people before you make your decision. And we don't really understand why. And asking questions to ourselves is important. Oftentimes we have to go and ask 5 people, yet you had the answer all along within you to make those decisions. It could be because you're still grieving. And depression is one of the symptoms of grief. And these are the symptoms of depression. You're depressed. So you have a hard time making decisions because you're afraid. You're afraid of making the wrong one. You have a hard time. You maybe are like the wave of the sea. You go back and forth and you are saying, yes, wait, no, I'm not sure. I don't know. And you have a hard time making a solid decision. On our next few podcasts, we're going to be talking about something so powerful. It's trusting yourself. And God has put something in us that we can call it instincts. We can call it our gut feeling. And truly, He has put the answers within us as well. And sometimes when we are depressed, we're so clouded by all these thoughts. It looks hazy. Life looks hazy. Our perspective is not clear. We have a hard time making decisions in our careers. We have a hard time making decisions in our purchases. We have a hard time making decisions in all kinds of areas in our life. And part of that, it might be because there is depression. It's time that you confront it. Confront the giant of depression. Ask yourself, why am I depressed? What is happening inside of me? And what am I still grieving? You want to be able to, sometimes it might take you to do the opposite. It might take you to, you don't have the motivation, but you might have to motivate yourself. I could say it like this, command your body. Oftentimes we think that our body commands us, but you really have the power within you to command your body. It doesn't have to rule you, but you can rule it. So at some point, do something this week. If you are battling depression, put on your sneakers, go outside, start running, do the opposite of what you're feeling, and let's all be free of depression. Let's get healed and let's move forward so that you can become whole and healthy. We'll see you guys next time.